Welcome to Phrases Friday. Thanks very much for joining me. In previous chats, I've talked about the importance of knowing our students, of having a growth mindset, and as this quote says, thinking that students can go way beyond what we ever thought was possible. I've talked to you about the 5 questions for parents, 5 questions for leaders and teachers, and here are the 5 questions for students. What are you learning and why? How are you doing in that learning? How do you know how you're doing? How can you improve? And where do you go for help beyond the teacher? I want to spend a little bit of time now thinking about learning walks and talks, either virtually or face-to-face in classrooms, and how we ask these 5 questions to ensure our students not only know what they're learning, but why they're learning it, what kind of feedback they've been given, and how can they improve? And lastly, where do they go for help if they're stuck beyond the teacher? So we're trying to build students who know their own ways of learning, how to improve, and build their resilience to be ongoing learners throughout their lives. So let's take a look at these 5 questions. If students can answer, what are you learning and why? Then what are the teachers doing? And these teachers may be our teachers in classrooms and also our parents. Well, we're sharing and we're unpacking the learning intentions right from the curriculum expectations. And we ensure that students understand why this particular unit of study would be relevant to them. Secondly, we want to know if students know how they're doing, how they're going. And so teachers and parents at home are sharing the success criteria with students. They're deconstructing them as well as co-constructing them with the students. And if students know how they're doing because they've been given feedback, that's really important, not only to have the feedback, but to act on the feedback in their units of study. We also ask, how do you improve? And if students are practicing peer and self-assessment against the success criteria, they're going to be very successful. And so you'll see how important it is the success criteria are clear and are explicit for our students, because we're always referring back to them. The descriptive feedback is given against the success criteria, how to be successful. And peer and self-assessment, which is so important to our learners, is always against the co-constructed success criteria. So I say, get the success criteria right, and our students will know how to be successful. Finally, in learning walks and talks, we want to ask our students, where do you go if you're stuck? Beyond the teacher, because the teacher may not always be there. And so when students say their parents, places in the classroom, places in the virtual space that you're creating with your students, it's really telling us that students are becoming resilient, interdependent learners, students who are metacognitively aware of how they learn. So for me, those 5 questions really indicate if students are capable of assessing their own learning and setting their own goals for learning, which is to me the ultimate, whether students are in kindergarten or year 12. Learning intentions and success criteria are not just for our students and our parents and teachers to use alongside our students. They're also for us as learners. Do we know what we're learning? Do we know how to build assessment capable students? And do we know our success criteria? For me, as learners, in professional learning sessions, we want to ensure we're making connections between assessment capable students in our waterfall chart, for example, in Clarity, and our own work as practitioners. We want to network and learn with others and most importantly, commit to taking action to ensure all learners are assessment capable. They know how to learn, why they're learning, they know how to improve given the descriptive feedback, and they know how to peer and self-assess against those success criteria. And finally, students as learners and teachers and leaders as learners know where to go to collaborate with others, network with others, and take action to ensure that all students are learning. So for me, in writing clarity, what matters most in learning, teaching, and leading, that clarity develops as we go, not before we go. We're always learning together, and that's what the text is all about. How do we ensure that things are becoming clearer and clearer as learners? Thanks for joining me. See you next Friday.